We are more awake now than yesterday, and we are ready to go on with the trial. So, I believe this may be the final testimony of the trial. Highly doubt it. But, now counsel, the defense may proceed with the cross-examination. Yes, my lord. I barely even remember what he said. I was so tired last night. Oh yeah, this definitely sounds like the music of the final testimony. The snow lay about. My neighbor did come within the evening, bearing a gift of tea. Hold it! Hold it! To be clear, by neighbor, you are referring to the defendant, Mr. Natsumi. Oh, indeed, sire. Perchance thou wouldst that I call him the man from upstairs. And at what time did the mustached Nipponese visit you in your room? Our meeting was promised for the hour of 9, and lo did he come to tender a gift of fragrant tea. Details which are in accordance with the defendant's own testimony, yes? And we were embroiled in such a literary debate as history hath not seen before. By which I presume he means their discussion about who was the stronger, Romeo or Juliet. I, Shamspeare, did play the part of young Romeo, whilst my neighbor played the fair Juliet. Each was dressed as would our characters be, to bring weight upon our merry experiment. I dare not imagine the scene. Frailty, thy name is woman. Canst thou imagine how dismayed I was? Yes, I had heard of the eastern arts of jujitsu, but ne'er did I dream 'twould be a skill practiced by the comely maiden. Juliet beat Romeo up? This is not helping our case. I believe the court has heard enough about your earth-shattering literary debate. Perhaps you could reiterate your statement about the tea that the accused brought to your room. My liege, I am thy servant. Gladly I would do thy bidding. But marry, bitter was his drink, and when he left, I did fall prostrate to my table. On my table. Mr. Natsumi left your room at 11 o'clock, but it wasn't until after 2 that the poison made you collapse. That amounts to more than 3 hours of missing time. If the defendant had really put the poison into your tea, that 3-hour window of time is something you're going to have to explain. Gladly, 'tis an easy task. What? I did drink of the tea, not while my guest did tarry, but after he took leave of me. Faith, 'twas stone cold, but at 1 hour post midnight, verily were my lips parched. That doesn't sound normal. Nay, 'tis quite ordinary, sire. After all, thou wouldst recall our fiery debate. Amid such argument, there'd be no time for fiery tea. Romeo and Juliet again, and who was stronger? Mr. Shamspeare, in summary, allow me to confirm. Did you not come here with the intention of naming your attacker? But of course, my liege. 'Twas the stooped lover of words that attempt to shuffle me off this mortal coil. We all know what that means. 'Twas the tea alone did pass my lips that late hour, not else.
Hold it! Careful, because he had a fork in his hands.
Mm-hmm. So, you didn't have any kind of evening meal, dinner, supper? Ha! Fie on luxury, fie on gluttony. To eat thrice daily is but a waste of time. Sorry? I would that my belly were full no more oft than the sun doth rise. Well, most heroic eating habits, I must say. Night and day do I fill my hours with learned study of the great bard and playwright. Hence is it that there doth not in my chamber. I hate this guy. Be that the costumes of mine art. That would appear to be the case, as even a rodent was found starved to death in your room. Now I think of it, it's not just food that was conspicuously missing from that room, is it? I don't recall seeing a single play or script anywhere. For I have devoured them all. You've eaten them? Every word be within my skull. Didst thou imagine otherwise? Right, that wasn't misleading at all. Now, could you turn around, do you think? Which brings us to the only way the poison could have passed the victim's lips is the tea. Okay, well, we know that's not really. Let's press him just because, you know. Because I guess we could probably contradict him, but I'm kind of curious about this dude. I was outside this bloke's window in the freezing cold all night, keeping an eye on his room. But the windows of that house have all been filled in. A historical artifact of the now-defunct window tax. Yeah, you're right there, all bricked up horribly. But as it happens, there's a little part of the brickwork of the bottom corner that's been opened up. He's right about that. I was looking in through the gap. Yes, there were a few bricks loose, weren't there? And for some strange reason, a couple of bars of soap lined up on the ledge outside as well. I don't like going around poking my chin in other people's business, especially on freezing cold nights. But them's my orders, so that's what I'll keep doing, as long as there's breath in my body. What's with all the theatricals today? Out of interest, Mr. Meterman, after the accused had left and returned to his own lodgings, did you see the victim leave the room at all? No, he never left. He was in that room the whole time as far as I'm concerned. And we can therefore discount the possibility of suicide. How can you be sure of that? The police carried out a thorough investigation of the scene and found no receptacle for the poison. And since we know the victim didn't leave his room and hence didn't dispose of the poison's container himself, it's clear that this was no attempted suicide. Only the culprit could have removed the receptacle. Ah, yes. Lucidly explained, counsel. Thank you. It really was. You can't argue with that logic. No one else visited his room but that short little round-backed Eastern fellow. You say a short little round-backed Eastern fellow, so you can't be sure it was the defendant then.
Objection!
How many other short little round-backed Nipponese with a mustache do you think there are in London? Well, of course, it's only a narrow gap and it was quite dark, so I didn't notice the mustache. But he showed up at around 9, so I'm pretty sure of myself. And when the person you saw arrived, did he and Mr. Shakespeare drink tea together? Nah, sorry, I couldn't say. Why not? Because I couldn't see into the room all that well, could I? But what I did see was the silhouette of that little round-backed fellow wearing a pretty dress. Then the pair of them started some kind of wrestling match. I tell you, I didn't know what to make of it. I forget, though, why is he looking at this dude?
He's like the meter gas reader guy, but I still don't understand why he to look at them.
That's why I'm trying to see. Nah, it doesn't go that far. I probably should have looked at the video from yesterday's stream. I suppose that was the Romeo and Juliet championship battle getting underway. Mr. Meterman, allow me to confirm one final time. Apart from the accused, can you state with certainty that no one else visited the victim on the night in question? No question. Gasman's honor. My lord. Goodness me, yes, Mr. Foreman? I kept my mouth shut and listened up to now, but this has gone on long enough. Are you all with me? Yes. Are we to understand that you ladies and gentlemen of the jury are in agreement with one another? That you've reached a unanimous decision? Too right we have. Are you all with me? Yes! Wait, no, the defense is in the middle of a cross-examination. To be honest, I was holding out a bit of hope for you, young man, especially after you identified those few hours that followed the accused leaving the victim's room. Yes, the 3 missing hours, as you put it. But in the end, what difference do they make? None, as far as I can see. And since that's now apparent, there's really no reason to delay our decision any longer. Like I was saying before, if I don't take 5 Bob home now with me tonight, the missus will blow her top. What's that? Sorry, I didn't quite catch what you said. Very well, let the court be apprised of your decisions. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will state your leanings as to the defendant's culpability.
Guilty!
Guilty. Guilty.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Guilty! Guilty!
Well, that makes me think showing the picture of him with the fork wouldn't have done anything. Because I feel like that activated because we pressed all 5 statements. Like, I don't know if we could have actually skipped that. All of you. Well, it would appear that the jury is indeed unanimous. So, this time at least it seems justice will be done. All's well that ends well, as they say. This calls for a toast, I feel. To the guilty being punished. Get up, Mr. Naruhodo, please. The trial isn't over yet. What do you mean, Mr. Sato? What about the information I found in this Encyclopedia of British Law I have? That obscure right that belongs to the defense in these situations, remember?
We pull it every time.
Yeah. I think because this is the first time in this game that we're doing it, and this was released separately 2 years later, that, in case you didn't play the first game, they're kind of giving you a rundown of the summation examination. We don't have a jury in Japanese courts, but here in the British Court of Law, if we can reverse the decisions of the majority of jurors, we can force the trial to continue. This trial can't end now. Whatever it takes, I just can't let that happen. The defense moves to invoke its right to a summation examination, my lord. Why am I not surprised at my learned Nipponese friend's inability to admit defeat? You choose to cling desperately to some archaic rule you barely comprehend instead of accepting the truth. Certainly no other defense counsel in recent times has exercised the right to a summation examination, because they all know that once the jury's mind is set, it cannot be altered. Yeah, like the 2 times we beat you preceding this case, dude. Nevertheless, the right remains and must be upheld. The defense counsel's request is granted. This court will now proceed with the summation examination as outlined in the Encyclopedia of British Law. Thank you, my lord. Are you and your fellows prepared, Mr. Foreman? Believe me, my lord, we all know about this young lad's tenacity, and we're ready for it. Very well. In that case, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I hereby call upon each of you to state the grounds upon which you find the defendant guilty of the crime for which he stands accused. I can't wait to see some statements that have nothing to do with the case, because, you know, the jury's weird like that. The victim may not be well off, but he's a noble man and straight up. There's no reason to doubt the man. Well, I do declare the good gentleman has no reason to lie. In fact, I think he's rather splendid. Just look at the accused by comparison. He's Japanese, stoops all the while, and has a mustache. Very fishy. There's no evidence to suggest the gangling actor is a fraudman. For now, at least. I really don't care. Like, I just need this trial to end quickly. 3 hours of missing time is nothing when you reach my age, you know? Nothing at all. You were quite shocked by that juror, were you?
It was a little racist.
It was. I knew it. Every single one of them seems completely convinced. It would seem that all the jurors have come to the conclusion that Mr. Shamspeare is a fine, upstanding, and honest citizen. If you ask me, they've all been bewitched by his strange theatrical movements. And sadly, nothing Mr. Natsumi has said appears to have registered at all. Well, here goes. Let's not forget, I pleaded with the jury on Soseki-san's behalf before, and it worked, so you never know. Before we begin, it might be an idea for me to remind you exactly how summation examination works. Well, you're still new to British law, after all. That's true, I suppose, since Soseki-san's fate is entirely in my hands now, too. There's always a chance I might have forgotten some crucial detail. Perhaps I should hear Shisato-san out. I wonder. No need! Thank you for the kind offer, Mr. Sato, but I've been through plenty of these summation examinations already now. I think it's important that we don't delay the start any longer than necessary. Of course, I understand, and I'm quite sure you're right. If you're confused by anything at any point, you can turn to me for advice whenever you like. I'll be here for you. The key to this is really listening carefully to each juror's statement, finding two that are contradictory and pitting the corresponding jurors against each other. Without further ado, please, counsel, proceed. Yes, my lord. That freaking guy.
It's a weirdo.
He's a noble man, straight up, there's no reason to doubt. Well, I do declare, the good gentleman has no reason to lie. In fact, I think he's rather splendid. Just look at the accused by comparison. Oh, God.
Hold it! Hold it!
You keep talking about needing to take home some money. What's this all about, sir? Finish last, that's what it's about. What's that? I'm talking about the Derby at Hyde Park, aren't I? It was the Queen's Cup last week, wasn't it? A Derby? It was a dead cert, that's the thing, I couldn't lose, so I took my wife's secret savings, like. But then that hopeless old mare went and did the unthinkable. That stupid finish last. Oh dear, I think it's clear what happened, isn't it? This is the day the missus uses her savings for a trip down the pub. So come on, let this business lie now, just give it up. No, that's not going to happen. Okay, let's press him. What do you really mean by that, sir? Well, I'm not one to boast, but I get up at 5 every morning, I do. At 5? You're a really early riser then, aren't you? What's that now? I said you're an early riser. Oh, well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I like to while away the hours in the evening reading books as well. But by 2 in the morning, I'm usually too tired to go on. He sleeps at 2 in the morning and gets up at 5? Oh my, that means he only has 3 hours of sleep each night. What's that, dear? Only 3 hours of sleep each night! That's right, you see, 3 hours of missing time, like I said. It's not much, is it? This really isn't helping. They keep this amazing examination identifying contradictions. Once I've had 2 jurors whose statements can't coexist, I need to pit those jurors against each other. Yes, if you're able to change the minds of the majority of jurors, the trial will continue. But it'll be over if you can't do it, so I gotta turn the trial around.
So that real fancy lady calls the actor gangly.
Yeah.
See, she says there's no much said the gangly actor is a fraudsman, for now at least. And then he says, look at that nasty Japanese guy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she kind of thinks the actor's not really...
Yeah, let me press her. A fraudsman? What do you mean by that, madame? It really is the most tiresome problem for the company, most irritating. We can be absolutely certain that a customer is stealing from us, but without hard evidence, we can't even threaten to take action for fear of being sued. I'm sorry, you lost me a little there. Who are you? I'm the wife of Augustus Altamont, owner of the Altamont Gas Company. Good gracious, Altamont Gas, you say? Gas is the future of energy in this country and around the globe, but proper handling is essential. As I'm sure our employee from the East End branch office will be the first to agree. Absolutely, Lady Quinby. Gotta be used properly. Altamont Gas is the best in the world, of course. I think we may have solved the mystery of the bow from earlier, Mr. Naruhodo. Right, he bowed... Oh, the bow. He bowed in deference to his employer's wife, did he? So would I be right in assuming that the reason Mr. Meterman was watching what Mr. Shamspeare was up to in his room? I'm afraid that there's no end to the lengths the population of the East End will go in order to steal our gas. So I really have no choice when the company identifies someone as a possible fraudsman, but to dispatch a worker to watch the suspect day and night. We're very thorough in our investigations. So you mean Mr. Shamspeare is... I wouldn't come out and say it in public, but you can finish that sentence with a grubby little gas thief.
Whoa.
You've noticed the public gallery in here, have you? The eye of a man hath not heard, the ear of a man hath not seen. Faith, wouldst thou wound me with thy words, were I to let them penetrate the skin? But seraphs hear not insults, only choirs of angels in song. We may not have evidence yet, but my workers won't stop buzzing around you until they find it. So maybe I can use her against 1 or 2.
Wait, hold on.
And when they do, you'll find yourself blasted back to your angelic heights in the ultimate gas explosion. So Mr. Shamspeare has been stealing gas.
So I'm kind of confused, though, because if he's renting from Mr. Garadib, isn't the whole house on one line? So it would actually be Garadib that's stealing the gas.
Well, they all use it, and if one person's using it, then it dims for the other floor.
Right, but there's only one pipe coming into the house, so why would they think it's Shamspeare that's stealing it?
I don't really know how gas works. I'm assuming one person can steal it even if it's one line.
But then but Natsumi, this Shamspear, and Garrett would all be suspects because it would have to be stolen from that house.
Yeah, I mean, that's possible.
Unless there's a different meter. Was there a meter in his room? Wasn't there a red box in his room? Was that a gas meter?
That's what I thought it was.
Okay, well maybe it comes in on one pipe, but they meter which goes to each room.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm thinking. I wonder, jury number 4, if you wouldn't mind adding that information to your statement. My pleasure. Was it the bit about ripping that thief apart you enjoyed? A little before the part about abject violence, if it's not too much trouble.
She doesn't like the victim.
Yeah, she does not like the alleged victim. The victim puts on a fine performance. In reality, he's a common thief of my company's gas. Okay, so let's see. He's a noble man straight up. There's no reason to doubt him.
Hit the two ladies, I guess, because she thinks he's rather splendid, but he's a thief.
Objection.
Uh-oh. My lord, as former of the jury, I must object. What? That's the thing. Their two statements are so close together. I pity fuckery. So you got your facts straight. Keep your pointy fingers to yourself. I thought I did.
You pitted the ladies, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, didn't you say he's a fine, upstanding gentleman?
Yes, but the first guy said there's no reason to doubt him. That's what I'm saying. Their statements are so close together that...
Objection.
What the...
Did you press the first guy at all?
I didn't press any of the first two.
We should probably press the first guy and then pin him.
Okay, let's do it. That stinks, though, because they're technically still at odds with each other. That's my only gripe with the game, is sometimes it's like, come on, man. Okay, let me press her first, since no reason to lie. Are you saying you believe the man to be trustworthy because he's rather splendid? No, that's not what I said. The point is, the man is the victim here. What reason would he have to lie? And yes, he is rather splendid. So you say, yet again. Meanwhile, the man who stands accused behaves so suspiciously, it's exhausting to look at him. I'm afraid he's not splendid at all. Splendid logic there, madame. Thank you so much.
Try first, dude.
Yes.
Hold it! Hold it!
Well, there are plenty of people in London who seem noble but poor. Couldn't some of them also be liars? I've no doubt about it. Like that shaky client of yours, for example. Absolutely not. Mr. Natsumi is no liar. Look, the point is, the only thing that passed the victim's lips that night was that Japanese man's teeth. When you take the gasman's testimony into account as well, the truth couldn't be any clearer. Ah, well, that's alarmingly logical. But let me be frank here, I'm a gentleman with a gentleman's values. Turns out that the old Shakespearean chum is a rotten liar after all. I'd gladly change my decision about the defendant. I'm sure my fellow gentlemen on the jury would do the same, isn't that right? Well, yes, perhaps, though I don't see it happening. What's that? Elderly gent on the end here, you know, you'll have to speak up. Look, I really don't care about all this nonsense. I just need this trial to be over. How many gentlemen do we actually have on the jury, then? Alright, sir, I will hold you to that. Don't forget what you said. Oof. Okay.
Objection.
Okay, here we go.
Yes. Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Good gracious. To whose statements do you refer, counsel? Jury number 1. Yeah, what are you yelling about, lad? I presume you've heard jury number 4's statement made by the wife of the owner of Altamont Gas? Well, yes. The victim, who you claim to be a noble, straight-up man, in fact, turns out to be a common thief. So the good lady says, but there's no evidence, is there? Oh, whoops. You and I both heard them say as much. It's true, we don't have evidence as such just yet. But the claims aren't baseless, you know. What? You heard me. Seeing as his operation has already been compromised, I would suggest that the court hears testimony from our East End branch office employee over there. I'll do whatever you say, my lady. Gasman's honor. Jury number 1, you say you're a man of your word. If I could show that Mr. Shamspeare was a liar, you assured me that you would reconsider your decision about the defendant's guilt. Yes, I did say that. As a man of honor, I'll hold to it, as I'm sure the other gentlemen of the jury will. Me? Oh, well, yes. Now that we've found out the man's a liar, perhaps we ought to reconsider the matter further. Well, if I'm perfectly honest, I haven't heard half of what you've all been saying. So if that means you'll recap a few points, that would suit me down to the ground. Oh no, I'm not having any part of this. I want this trial over and done with. In that case, I shall change my leaning. So, Mr. William Shamspeare, if that is your real name, we have the jury demand to know exactly what kind of a man you really are. I like juror number 4.
The one that just wants to leave? Or the girl?
No, the woman who owns the company. She's like, you're not gonna do it, I will. I'm like, yo, 4 not guilty. Yes, Mr. Naruhodo. Victory. Order, order. Well, this is quite extraordinary, I must say. As a result of the defense's summation examination, the jury's leaning has changed. Now only 2 jurors say guilty, whilst 4 say not guilty. I therefore declare this court to be in a state of disaccord, and order the trial to continue.
Fonzies is not going to be happy.
No. You know, juror number 5 should just say not guilty, so it'll be over, and just be like, other guys, say not guilty. Let's get out of here. You have spoiled the bouquet, Mr. Shamspeare. The ladies and gentlemen of the jury now find they are unable to trust you, the victim. But you gods will give us some fault to make us men. So God mend me, I do swear. This gas man speaketh that which concerns him most, naught but gas, naught but thin air. Aye, it burneth bright a while, but it hath no substance, and it doth reek foul. Oi, what did you say? Do I take it, Mr. Shamspeare, that you deny the allegations of gas thievery? Most heartily, my lord. Hast thou forgot? I am as a seraph, an angel, noble of mind, sweet of nature, and verily honest of heart. Ah, you flowery-mouthed, pompous beanpole, just because I haven't got the evidence yet. Mr. Shamspeare, if in fact you are not noble of mind, sweet of nature, or honest of heart, if you are a liar, then your testimony should have no sway in this courtroom. It is my considered opinion that at the present time no other possible culprit of this crime has been identified. All testimony heard by the court thus far heavily implicates the defendant. In short, it would not be unreasonable at this stage for me to rule on the case. Oh no. However, in light of the fact that the jury has expressed concern about the fidelity of this witness, I believe it would be inappropriate for this court not to pursue the point further. I assure you, my lord, that would be a waste of the court's time. The gas in this case are unrelated. Juror number 4? Yes? Didn't you say before that although you had no hard evidence to prove this man has been stealing gas, you have strong grounds for suspecting him? That's right, we do. Don't we, worker? Absolutely, Lady Quinby. Gasman's honor. Very well, then. We'll hear your testimony now. You will tell the court precisely why you believe the victim, Mr. William Shamspeare, has been stealing gas. Yes, my lord, it will be my pleasure. On the automat gas, if I may, my lord. Go ahead, madame. This worker's testimony may have a significant bearing on the good name of my husband's company. Therefore, I should like to take the stand alongside him in a supervisory role, if you wouldn't mind. Wahoo! Oh yeah, sweet as honey. Yeah. Very well. As an exception, I shall honor your request. Thank you, my lord. You wait till the boss gives you an earful. Ooh, it's gonna sting, you mark my words. So you will both testify before the court on the subject of the illegal consumption of the Altamont Gas Company's fuel. Yes, is that clear, my good man? Clear as Altamont gas, my lady, which is the clearest in the world.
So I have a question.
Yeah?
Can we look at what the doctor said about his poisoning? Because when he was going on about the gas, he talked about how it smells, which means he shouldn't smell it. if it's coming into the house, unless he has a leak, which could have poisoned him. High likelihood. Okay, what's the next one?
Nothing yet, but... Oh, what is it, Mr. Naruhodo? This bar of soap, when we first found it, I could have sworn there was some sort of round disc in this depression just here, a reddish one. I remember that. Yes, you're right, I remember it too, but now the depression is completely empty. Where could the disc have gone? Oh, I'm glad I did. Do you think the gas has gone to his head, Mr. Sato? I think the man is just a very dedicated employee, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm proud to be the company's East End branch investigator and meter money collection agent. Altamont gas meters accept through a penny through penny pits? Through penny bits? I don't know. Each coin giving customers about 2 hours of gorgeous gas. And yet the meter in Mr. Shamspear's room didn't have a single coin in it. The meter doesn't appear to have been tampered with, though, and the collection agent has the only key. Somehow...
Using the red discs to make the meter run. Like a slug.
I see, yeah. Somehow he's using all the flaming gas he wants without paying a penny. If that's not thieving, what is? Pray forgive the discourtesy. The irrelevance of this testimony caused me to turn to my hollow chalice. What do you mean by that remark, Lord Von Zieks? Did the mustache Nipponese poison the gangly excuse for an actor, or didn't he? That is all that should concern this court, and yes, now we must listen to this abhorrence. Clearly what separates the vast British Empire and your Eastern Island nation is more than geographical distance. But this could turn out to be crucial testimony. The cross-examination must go ahead.
He's mean.
Do what you will. Lord Von Zieks appears to be in a violent mood. Yes, he does. An attempted poisoning and an incidence of gas theft with no supporting evidence. It's true they would appear completely unrelated at first glance, but I wonder, the truth tends to be buried in the most unusual places. And the first step in uncovering it will be to establish just who and what this man really is. Proud to be the company's East End branch investigator and meter money collection agent. Let's skip that for now. Altamont gas meters accept 3 penny bits, each coin giving customers about 2 hours of gorgeous gas. So all London houses that have a gas supply are fitted with these gas meters, are they? They're the latest model, the height of technology developed by our company Altamont Gas. And anyone who uses our gas will have one of these meters in their property, yes. So if a 3 pence coin gives 2 hours of gas, most people would use about 3 coins in a night. A bit more than that usually, if they have both gas lights and a gas stove, that is. Thinking about it, Soseki-san doesn't have a fireplace in that room of his, does he? Some people still choose to use candles, of course, and only have gas for heating. Yes, I do remember seeing candles in Mr. Natsume's room, actually. And how does the money in the meter get back to you at the gas company? Every 3 days, gasmen like me visit properties on the gas supply and empty the meters of coins. I must say the design and manufacture of the new meter cost the company an awful lot of money. But happily, it did put a stop to people not paying their dues for the most part. Because they have to pay in advance, you mean? Yes, exactly right. And yet the meter in Mr. Shamspear's room didn't have a single coin in it. Out of interest, how long has this been going on? Weeks and weeks he's been pinching gas off us for ages. And you've examined the meter in Mr. Shamspear's room, I take it? Naturally, we took it off the wall and went over it with a fine-tooth comb. And found nothing suspicious at all, I presume. No, I'm afraid we didn't. Which is exactly why I demanded a new type of meter to be produced. One with indestructible lock, the Shamsphere Special. That sounds like it would have cost an awful lot of 3-penny pieces. And even after all that, the rascal's meter was still empty. I'll never forget the humiliation. When I opened up the money box and found it bare, "You what?" I said. "You what?" And the look on his face, that smarmy smile of his. I pulled the meter straight off the wall and took it back to the office. But you know what? Nothing. Not a trace of it being jemmied open anywhere, not a single sign. And what's happened to my salary as a result? Down by 3 shillings a day, that's what. A life-threatening situation in a number of ways. Incidentally, what became of that meter? Nothing became of it, I still got it. Oh. Right here. No wonder they call you Meter Man. I think it would be prudent for the court to sequester this item while the trial is ongoing. Definitely. Although at first glance there doesn't appear to be anything unusual about it. Let's move this along, shall we? Continue with your testimony. But I would say it has as much value as the contents of that meter. Oof. Okay, so let's see. That's a very sturdy-looking padlock, isn't it? And the money box is sealed with beeswax, too. So if Mr. Sholmes were to get up to any mischief, he'd be found out immediately.
The wax from the soap to seal it.
Ah, Mr. Naruhodo, mischief of that kind is not the sort of thing that Mr. Sholmes would. You know you didn't finish that sentence, don't you? Well, anyway, it's understandable that the gas company would want to safeguard the money that's rightfully theirs. But it does feel a little over the top, perhaps, doesn't it?
So maybe he's putting real money in it, but he goes back in and gets it out with the, and then seals it with the wax.
Oh, have you spotted something, Mr. Naruhodo? Just here, this little hole, do you see? Goodness, you're right, I wouldn't have noticed. It's not a very neat hole, is it? Not professionally made, I'd say. So you think it might have been opened up by Mr. Shamsphere? Possibly. It seems the people at Altamont Gas must have missed it. Well, it certainly seems to go all the way through to the inside. Yes, but there's no way a coin could fit through there. That's true, but even so, it seems more than a little suspicious. Well, we could maybe present it here, but let's keep going first. There's only one key for all your meters. Well, in truth, there's another key in the company vault at our main office. But even if someone had managed to get hold of a key, we know if the coin box had been opened. Oh, how? I came up with a rather clever way to expose any little shenanigans as it happens. Would you care to explain? Well now, in order to empty a meter, you have to unlock the padlock and remove the cover. But when I close the cover again, I stick a little beeswax seal on it, you see? A seal, like the sort of thing you'd put on an envelope, you mean? Something like that, yes. Basically, you can't remove the cover again without breaking the seal. Now, in the case of Mr. Shamsphere's meter, there were no coins inside at all, as I said. But the seal hadn't been broken either. So that would mean Mr. Shamsphere somehow managed to steal coins from inside the meter without opening it. It would seem so, but that would be impossible. Somehow he's using all the flaming gas he wants without paying a penny. If that's not thieving, what is?
Hold it! Hold it!
How do you know that he's been using gas, though? Well now, since I started investigating this bloke, I've been to his room more than a few times. On every single occasion, his lamps have been blazing and his stove pounding. It's the middle of winter and he still turns to me, sweat dripping down his cheeks, and says, "Get thee to a nunnery." Hamlet, indeed. I could wring the bloke's neck. I got all hot under the collar, but still. Every time I open up that flaming meter, it's empty. He's robbing me of my salary, too. What's wrong with the world? Where's the justice? But how can Mr. Shamsphere possibly be stealing the money? I don't understand. The simple explanation is right before your eyes. What? A toast to you eventually realizing that the gas man could be an accomplice. You what? Good lord, eminently plausible indeed. Well, what do you have to say for yourself? Oh, please, Lady Quinby, I'm a faithful worker. And besides, if the money us gasmen collect doesn't tally with how much the gas has been used, you dock our pay by the same amount. So you'd be stealing money only to have the same amount taken from your wages. Clearly that makes no sense. Perhaps it's a case of losing the battle to win the war. No, I'm not going to stir up that hornet's nest. If I went stealing from the company, I'd be finished. It would seem there is no evidence to support the claims of thievery made against the victim, because Mr. William Shamsphere is innocent. Pray forgive me of that shattersome illusion my Lord Nipponese friend was clearly under. I certainly didn't expect to uncover another crime that looks like it's been taking place in the very same room. According to the testimony, it's only the meter in Mr. Shamsphere's room that's under suspicion. It does seem as though perhaps it has nothing to do with the incident involving Mr. Natsumi. I know, it does seem that way, but the fact is, since I've been practicing law in England, I feel like I've encountered this at least once already. Cases that are interlinked. Oh. It may seem like two cases have nothing to do with one another at first, but in fact they're intimately connected. Yes, we have experienced that before, haven't we? I wonder if this is another instance. Perhaps, but we can't be that sure of it yet. The Altamont Gas Company has been investigating Mr. Shamsphere so earnestly, there must be something to it, but then how has he been managing to steal their gas? Alright. Well, it appears to have been tampered with.
Objection!
Lady Altamont, I'm afraid to say that this meter clearly does show signs of having been tampered with. What? Get away, I've been over and over that thing. I'm telling you, there's nothing wrong with it. In that case, what do you have to say about the small hole that's been made at the base of the coin box? Hole, what? You're right, you're quite right, there is a little hole there. The meters aren't supposed to have that, none of the others do. In other words, we can assume that Mr. Shamsphere secretly opened up this hole himself. Yes, I wouldn't be all that surprised, but why? Yeah, why? I mean, it's tiny. You couldn't get a farthing through that. Lady Altamont, I wonder if you could give the court some more details about your meter design. What sort of details? Well, what I'd specifically like to know is how it differentiates coins, going back to your thing about the red coin.
I think you're gonna have to go through both, but yeah.
How does the meter tell the difference between different coins? What do you mean? Well, for example, if someone were to put in a 1 penny coin, that wouldn't work, presumably, would it? No, of course not. So, well, how does the meter know that the coin it's been fed is a 3 penny pit? Ah, I see what you're getting at now. The meter tells coins apart by their shapes and size, which includes their thickness. A 3 penny bit is about 3/4 of an inch in diameter, you see. Other coins just won't fit. Ah, I see. It's clearly been well thought out. The witness will amend her formal testimony with that information in case it's pertinent. As you wish, my lord. The meter is designed for coins the exact diameter and thickness of a 3 penny bit. Nothing else will fit. Press her. But conversely, then, it would seem that anything matching a 3 pence coin exactly in terms of diameter and thickness could equally well be used. Would that be true? Well, yes, in a way. The weight comes into it a certain extent as well. We've thought of that, though, anyway. If I find any fake coins inside the coin box when I empty the meter, the contract says the customer has to pay 100 times the amount they did as a fine. We live for moments like that, us gasmen do. Live for them! Ha ha ha! I like how they look like bees. Like, look at the thing in his back.
Yeah.
It would seem the gas company has thought of everything. Wahoo! Hurrah for gas, hurrah for cash, Altamont all the way. That's quite enough of that. Remind me, how big are through penny bits? About 3/4 of an inch across. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Is this 2 centimeters measurement significant? Or perhaps there's some other aspect of the meter's construction that we should be focusing on? Yes, you may be right. Perhaps I should try a different tack here. Like asking about whether the meter can be dismantled, for example. We'll delve deeper. How can the meter be dismantled? Dismantled? Yes, given that there's no signs of it being forced, I'm wondering if perhaps rather than being broken open, it might have been taken apart. Well, yes, that does make some sense. The padlocks are made by a first-class locksmith from the finest quality steel, and the meter box itself is made from plate steel as well, welded shut to ensure it can't be opened again. I can assure you it's quite impossible to dismantle it. Wahoo, yeah, nothing leaks from an Altamont meter. No coins, no gas, no nothing. I see. The witness will amend her formal testimony with that information in case it is pertinent. As you wish, my lord.
Hold it! Hold it!
Has anyone ever tried? Oh yeah, they've tried, but they've all given up before long. After all, if they've actually broke the meter, the company would be able to take legal action. Yes, that makes sense. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Is this significant, or perhaps it's some other aspect? Yes, let's go back to that. I'm pretty sure what you're going on is exactly what they're looking for.
Woman, but he could put the beeswax back if he melts the same coins.
Now let me see. Oh, shit. Whoops. Sorry.
You said a potty word.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Little force of habit there. Leave it. Of course, my lord. As I was saying, they're unsurpassed, they cannot be manipulated. Now, if I look at this again, it's no longer checkmarked. Look at this bar of soap, the circle of depression on the side, about 2 centimeters across, or 3/4 of an inch. There we go. I figure we might have to look at it again. We did find the soap on the ceiling. There are 2 bars, so we took this one, but I'm sure that when we first found it, there was some sort of reddish medallion in the middle there. I remember it clearly. No sign of it now. Where could it have gone? Alright, now we're going to use it.
Objection!
Let me just confirm something here. If the diameter and thickness were to be correct, the meter would accept any object as if it were a threepenny bit. Is that correct? Yes, that is correct. Well, by something of a coincidence, while we were investigating in Mr. Shamspeare's room, we found a particular item that matches the dimensions perfectly. Something the same size as a threepenny bit. What was it? The item in question is this. What? Have you been inhaling gas? That's a bar of soap. It certainly looks nothing like a threepenny bit, I must say. It looks like I'm going to have to point out exactly what I mean here. What's so important about the soap is this part here.
Got it!
You have to turn over the soap to see what I mean. Ah, are you referring to that round depression in the middle of the soap there? That's right, a depression that's approximately 3/4 of an inch in diameter. Or in other words, almost exactly the same size as a threepenny bit. Get away. Does anyone here present have in their possession a threepenny bit? Quickly now, hand over your coins, ladies and gentlemen. Sounds rather like a highway robbery, doesn't it? Thanks to a kind member of the public in the gallery, I have here a threepenny bit. Now to see if it fits. My word, it couldn't be more snug. Yes, as I suspected. This, without a doubt, is a vital clue to explain how the Altamont Gas Company is being defrauded. Well, I don't believe it. So, your assertion amounts to what? That some inferior bar of soap has a tentative connection to the theft of gas? Yes. The depression in the soap was clearly made by a three-penny bit. I must concur, at least, that pushing a coin with some force into a poor-quality bar of soap such as this is a remarkable, simple way of replicating the coin's shape. And then you could use, well, some melted wax or something to pour into the mold. You could make fake coins in no time. This brings all the pieces of the puzzle together. It's the method Mr. Shamspeare has been using to steal the gas. That's the missing link. Now, if I follow the chain of thought, it's going to bring me to a new explanation for what happened that nobody's considered yet. But this is all nonsense. If the man had been making fake coins, my worker here would have found them when he emptied the meter. Quite true, Lady Altamont. In the absence of some black magic that can make them disappear... I see. That's what we're dealing with, is it? There's one form of black magic that could cause the fake coins to disappear into thin air, yes. Exactly, and the meter here gives it away. What on earth? There are remnants of magical method used, visible on the gas meter taken from the victim's room. There is?
He's melting them down and putting the beeswax seal back on them.
Ah. If that is your assertion, Counsel, the defense will identify these remnants for the court at once.
Or he's making a mold for the seal.
Where on the meter can the remnants of the method used to make the fake coins disappear be seen? Well, it does kind of look like it's circular on the beeswax.
Wait, is that the beeswax or the front part?
I thought it was this. You gotta break the seal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, see the green? Pretty sure it is. Don't feel stupid if not. The answer is right here. Clearly, this is highly suspicious. A rather vague answer, wouldn't you say, Counsel? Okay. I guess I was wrong. So, please, don't hold back on our account. Okay, how about I let you point out this wax?
I thought it was the red part on the front.
Yeah, because the coin was red.
Right.
So you talking about this?
Isn't that what that is?
I guess. I thought it was this because you'd have to get rid of the green to open this red part, maybe, and get the coins out. That's what I thought.
Unless that's the hole, but... What is that? I thought it was that, but...
Let's see.
No? Is it the hole in the bottom?
I don't know. I guess we should save.
Yeah.
I feel terrible. Let's save. We've made quite a bit of mistakes for case 2. I feel bad. But I don't feel like our mistakes are dumb. Like, I feel like there was logic in us thinking either one of those was. Where on the meter can the remnants of the method used to make the fake coins disappear? Well, let's look at this again.
It must be the hole?
I guess I don't know how that would make it disappear, though.
Is he pushing back out the top? I don't know.
Got it!
We found this bar of soap at the scene of the crime, just outside the victim's window. Outside? Yes, outside, where you yourself, Mr. Meterman, were loitering in the freezing winter air. That's where we found this soap. Ah, I get it. That's right, the answer, of course, is ice. Did you say ice? Mr. Shamspeare has been leaving soaps like this outside his window each evening filled with water. After a night out in the bitter cold, the water is completely frozen solid the next morning. Then he takes his fake coins of ice and feeds them into the gas meter, giving him light and warmth in space.
That is not what I had thought.
No. Not at all, because I thought it was red. As his room becomes very comfortably warm, the ice now turns back into water and draining harmlessly away through the small hole made in the underside of the meter.
I did not gather that.
No, I did not either. I thought it was a fake red coin that he somehow made. I didn't... No. That is how, without leaving any evidence of wrongdoing, the man has been stealing Altamont gas. Although that is very clever. Just like that, so simply. Is he trying to make us look like idiots? He's been fooling us all with some bars of soap and some water? That's right, madame. I don't believe it. It can't be true. Do you have any idea how much money we spent to develop that new meter? And now you have the audacity to suggest that a bit of soap and some water can render it totally useless? I'm fairly sure I didn't design it. Evidence! Sorry? I want evidence. If you're going to stand there and tell me our meters are rubbish, I want to see proof. She's very good at enforcing accountability, isn't she? Very well, Lady Altamont. If you'd like evidence, I'll provide it. What? Mr. Naruhodo, are you saying you do have evidence to support this theory? I did notice a trace of something that bothered me a little at the time. Now that we're down to one. It's funny. It's like we're helping her figure out what the problem is, but now it makes her look bad, so now it's like she's turning it back on us. And I have a feeling that this theory we've come up with now could explain it. The piece of evidence that substantiates the theory of how Mr. Shamspear has been stealing gas is...
Look at the picture of him at the table and see if there's a tunnel. There is.
There is.
Water.
Take that!
This is a photograph of the scene at the point when the victim was discovered, taken by Inspector Gregson. And it clearly shows the remnants of the crime carried out by Mr. Shamspear. What remnants? Here you can see the gas meter on the wall in Mr. Shamspear's room. Now look closely at the floorboards directly underneath the meter. What is that? Some kind of grubby stain. Almost certainly it's a water stain resulting from the liquid that drained out of the hole made in the meter. Ah. If one coin gives around 2 hours of gas usage, and the occupant was heating his room in all his waking hours, we can imagine he would have used around 10 of his fake coins each day. The melting ice inside the meter's coin box would have been dripping out almost constantly, leaving a stain on the floor. This is awful. And there's further evidence, too. Mr. Shamspear slumped over his table, apparently having consumed... How did you say you pronounce it?
Strychnine.
Strychnine?
Strychnine.
Strychnine. And right there next to him is a bar of soap broken in half. You're right. It would appear to me then, Counsel, that the man was eating the soap, was he? Pardon me for disagreeing with your lordship, but... certainly not. He didn't beat around the bush there, did he? In truth, Mr. Shamspear was found with a fork in his hand. A meal of soap is sounding increasingly likely. Do you mean to say he was using that fork to... Yes. To extract a frozen coin from the bar of soap. Ah. But the bar broke in half. So perhaps it didn't go very well. Good gracious. Why are they bees? What's he going to say? This is all irrelevant? Lord Von Zeeks. I was throwing my hand up in despair, and happened to catch my hollowed bottle on the way. Pray forgive my maladroit mistake. What is the meaning of this, Counsel? Allow me to pose my learned friend a question. What exactly did you establish with your most recent cross-examination? Well, that Mr. William Shamspear is a liar and a thief. In other words, that his testimony is unreliable. She is totally different than Maya. She is just, like, on it. That's it. That's exactly it. Very well, let us assume the man is a liar. Now allow me to pose another question. What possible difference does that make? Well, we know that suicide can be discounted. Scotland Yard's investigation revealed no sign of another vessel that contained poison. And on the night in question, there were no visitors to the room except the accused. The young Gaspin's testimony, which we have no reason to doubt, has confirmed that. Furthermore, the only possible way the poison could have entered the victim's body is via the tea. The court has seen no evidence whatsoever that suggests otherwise. Even if William Shakespeare is the liar you claim him to be, these facts have been objectively established. There's no escaping it. Therefore, in light of these facts, the prosecution calls for immediate adjudication. You what? Order, order. Well, counsel, what does the defense say? Mr. Naruhodo. What was the point of that last examination? Did it actually get us anywhere? Or did it make no difference at all, like Lord Von Seeks is saying? Raise an objection or just play it out a bit? Raise an objection. No, this isn't over. The defense will not rest. What? But counsel, you successfully explained everything. You've identified and substantiated the unscrupulous method employed by Mr. Shakespeare to consume gas. What more is there to discuss? Lord Von Seeks just highlighted 3 facts in order to make his point, but contrary to what he would have the court believe, not all of them have been objectively established at all. What are you trying to say, my Nipponese friend? At least one of these so-called facts is an assumption, made due to lack of evidence. Oh,
What was that?
There we go. But the situation has changed now following the cross-examination of the latest witnesses to take the stand. Don't be absurd. What is this nonsense?
He's gonna be our friend one day.
One day. Right now, he really despises us. Yes, when you bring everything we've learned so far together and consider it as a whole, it's clear. There's a question that we now need to reconsider, namely, was the poison in the tea? We've all been led to believe that the strychnine poison that afflicted Mr. Shakespeare was in the tea brought to him by Mr. Natsumi, but that's conjecture at best. The victim has testified that nothing else passed his lips that night. There is no other possibility. And since there was no trace of the tea left, he tested the traces of the poison. Here now. As I said, the situation has changed, because in fact, some of Mr. Natsumi's claims. Scotland Yard detectives investigated the scene exhaustively. What would prove it?
Teapot? Is that a teapot over there?
Yeah, that's a teapot.
Or a kettle, whatever.
What evidence are you suggesting they missed? The defense has made a bold claim indeed. Very well, counsel, present your proof. Dun dun dun. I mean, it might take us back here if we lose, but... What evidence from the scene of the crime can tell us about the nature of the defendant's tea?
Wait a minute.
Some of Mr. Natsumi's tea was left at the scene. Situation changed. So, we've all been led to believe that the strychnine poison that afflicted Mr. Shakespeare was in the tea brought to him by Mr. Natsumi, but that's conjecture at best. As I said, the situation has changed because, in fact, some of Mr. Natsumi's tea was left at the scene, and a particular piece of evidence proves it.
Now what about the teacups? Because it said that there was no tea ring in somebody's cup.
Yeah, Natsumi didn't have one because he drank it immediately. His had one because he waited hours. I mean, there is tea, but that I don't feel like that means that there's tea in there necessarily. Unless I'm mistaken. Like, would investigators miss the tea kettle?
I don't know. I would think not, unless they only focused on the cups.
Is there tea in the gas meter?
The only thing... Well, funny that you say that, because remember the water pump was broken. So, it was frozen. Didn't he say that the water pump was frozen?
So maybe he used the tea?
The tea, he waited till the tea was cold to put it in there and then to set it outside.
I wonder. Let's try it. I don't know. We could be overthinking it, but what exactly is this piece of evidence supposed to reveal? Well, I suspect it may possibly relate to the tea in some way if we dig deep enough. Okay, that means we're wrong.
So I guess it's the picture of the tea kettle.
I feel like that's silly, but maybe it is. I just feel like it'd be stupid if, after a thorough investigation, you miss a tea kettle.
Okay. So we have to prove that his tea is there?
Yes.
Alright.
What evidence from the scene of the crime can tell us about the nature of the defendant's tea? Would it be the torn-off end of envelope, the pair of teacups, the bar of soap? No. The medical report. So it's gotta be from the scene of the crime. Maybe the bar of soap would be because the other bars of soap might have the tea in them?
Take that!
Good gracious. The soap again? Whoops. I'm sorry I do this. The soap again, the same bar the victim used to fashion his coins of ice. Yes, that's right, my lord. It's just come back to me. Something about when we first found this bar of soap at the scene yesterday.
It's not red, it's brown from the tea being in it.
That's right! It's more bars of soap. So, what kind of bars of soap are doing lying on the edge? I'm quite certain that when we originally stumbled upon the bars of soap, there was actually a frozen coin in each bar. As you discovered the gas thief's coin factory, fascinating. That's why it's not in there anymore, because it melted. In a way, yes, but there's more. The coins we found in the soap at the time weren't normal ice. There was something strange about them, you mean? Yeah, they're iced tea, exactly. Something very obviously strange. They were red. The ice was red? No, you mean... That's right, it's obvious to me now. The fake coins in the soap were made from frozen tea. What? I would remind the court of a statement made by Mr. Natsumi earlier in this trial. That evening, yes, I did take some freshly brewed tea with me when I visited Mr. Shamspeare's room as a gift. The public water pump outside always freezes at night, so I bought bottled water especially to make it. And this is the result. Never will I touch tea again. Never. Ah, yes, I believe there had been a snowfall that day. It was particularly cold. Sadly, on such occasions, the poorly constructed water mains in the East End are prone to freezing. So on the night in question, Mr. Shamspeare, having no running water to use, was forced to use the tea brought by Mr. Natsumi in order to make his fake coins. My word. There were 2 bars of soap on the window ledge when my judicial assistant and I investigated the scene. That's right, and we only borrowed one of them. Which means that even as we speak, some of the defendant's tea is still present at the scene of the crime, frozen solid in a bar of soap outside Mr. Shamspeare's window. Extraordinary. Earlier today, Inspector Gregson informed the court that if even one drop of the tea remains, Scotland Yard will be able to analyze it for poison. As such, we are now in a position to prove or disprove what has until now been mere conjecture. By finding out for sure whether or not Mr. Natsumi's tea actually contains strychnine at all. Arrgh. are, you smug Nipponese. My lord, we cannot do the defendant the injustice of passing judgment now. The police should be dispatched to recover the remaining bar of soap from the scene at once, and the defense requests a thorough analysis of the frozen tea embedded in it, to determine whether or not it contains any poison. Bailiff, instruct the police to do it. Understood. Why are they bees? I mean, I kind of dig it. I think they look funny, but I don't get why they're bees. But soon we have no choice but to suspend these proceedings for the time being. I trust you have no objection, Lord Von Zieks? None, my lord. Scotland Yard will recover the tea from the scene and carry out the requisite tests immediately. The trial will resume at the same hour tomorrow. The prosecution and defense may conduct further investigations as appropriate in the interim. Yes, my lord. Well, we managed to scrape through there somehow. Thank you, counsels. Court is adjourned until tomorrow. Whew.
It's about 8:55.
Well, it's a good stopping point, I guess.
Okay.
That was good, though. That's actually kind of a clever solution, because it didn't even occur to me why was the red impression gone, but that all makes sense.
So when it was gone, I thought maybe it was actually wax, like as a decoration, like an imprint, and that he was using those to make it operate. And then I thought, because he came back to life, maybe he snatched them.
Yeah, but we took the soap before he could do that. Unless he did something with them, but...
Where's all the stuff gone?
I don't know. Phew, we made it back in one piece. Just. To be perfectly honest, I thought we were finished there for a while. Oh, I know. What a lot of close shaves. There are so many carriages on the streets of London, you were very nearly flattened several times. Oh, no, I didn't mean that. Yes, I know. It was a marvelous defense, Naruhodo-san. It really was. I was in awe of you. Oh, thank you. And now that your fervent exploits have won us some more precious investigation time, let's see if we can't find some new clues for court tomorrow. Yes, let's do that. Is everything alright? I suppose. I still can't quite believe it, that's all. That I'm here in England working as a lawyer, I mean, in the Old Bailey, no less. The truth is, it shouldn't be me, should it? It should be him standing in my shoes. It should be Kazuma. It was Kazuma-sama's wish that you follow him to Great Britain and work alongside him. Yes, I mean, I never had a chance to ask him exactly why, but he clearly had a plan. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for him. And you're doing wonderfully, Naruhodo-san. I've no doubt that Kazuma-sama would say exactly the same if he were here with us. Thank you, Susato-san. Thank you. Alright. Save again and wrap it up. Live football mode. What did you do?
I elbow us to hit it.
Okay. Certainly a lot brighter on football mode, the screen is.
I don't know. I accidentally done it.
Okay. Well, I'll leave it here for now. Thank you.